Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin and seeing if there's any signs of where the price might be going and what's in next for the crypto market. So, today was a big day for Bitcoin. We made a new yearly high. We got up to about 50,200, pretty close to it, and have come back down now to just a little bit over 50,000. So I was wondering, when's the last time Bitcoin's been this high? And it has not been since really after the very top of Bitcoin in November of 2021. You can see this dashed line right here. So last time we were at this price was late December of 2021. Kind of curious. And right now, like I said, we made a higher high, so up we are going. I was wondering if this was the mid cycle top because there's a lot of things that made sense to me about this being the mid cycle top. That's when the ETF was approved for Bitcoin. And so we rallied into that news, and then it was a sell the news event. However, something that was concerning to me was we got above this macro fib from the previous high and low for Bitcoin, which is around 15,000 and 69,000. And then we went above this trend line, which we've been honoring since really the last bottom. And again, trend lines are only good for as long as they've been good for, or for as long as they're good for. But when the price keeps honoring it and getting back to it, bouncing off of it, riding up on it, coming back to it, riding back up on it, and then now we make a higher high, who knows where the price is going to go next. And here at Market Psychology, guys, something that's important for us all to remember is all because we see patterns in charts does not mean that things have to play out the way that they have before. That's in the not financial advice little blurb I put up here. Analysis of data is not enough to predict future results. Another thing to note is that technical analysis, like I am doing here, is not the only tool that you should use to know when you should buy something or when you should sell something. It can be one part of it that can help you increase your value and increase your returns. However, let me be clear, you should not purely base your buying and selling investment strategies only off technical analysis. TA, technical analysis alone, is not enough. Anyways, back to Bitcoin. As far as fear and greed, I've talked about this. Greed has been in an uptrend, and we have yet to break from there. This level right here, when the ETF was a sell the news event, so which it was to a point, that being today, I thought maybe this could be the start of a reversal. However, we bounced off that, got back above that trend line I showed you, and we've kept going up. Another comparison I showed before is that when we had the mid-cycle top in the last 4-year cycle, and if you don't know what a 4-year cycle is, it's just basically the time between the tops. However, last time, most of the damage in Bitcoin and altcoins was done here. So even though this was the 4-year cycle, we had injection of money in the form of stimulus checks, 5-6 trillion just printed out of thin air and put into the markets. So part of my thesis has been that maybe that was a unique situation after a black swan event, and I've not been so sure that we would see an early top again. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, and maybe because we did have an early top, maybe we could expect a 4-year cycle to end by April of 2025. That'd be 4 years after, you can see it right there, April of 21. We'll see. Something else I've noted that sort of, well, let me backtrack here. I'll come back to this in a second. Something that I've noted as far as a possible bearish outlook. So we had 6 months around from the bottom to the top, got a little bit above this 382. And again, this macro fib, it's from the 2017 high to the low that we had, but from that fib, bottom to top, we got above that 382 level. And this took 6 months, and then we chopped around in here for a year. So my thought was that we might do something different. However, here it's taken a year. It took a year up to the ETF approval. And so I thought if we took 6 months to get up here, maybe we chop around for a year. And if we took a year to get up here, maybe we chop around for 6 months. However, that's already pretty much been invalidated, at least thus far. We are going higher. And the next level that we could possibly go to is this 236 level. I know it's, let me zoom in here. I got this, let me take off as well. There's so many freaking lines here. I apologize. This 236, this 56.4 level, I think is key. And I'll tell you why in a second. Another thing to know is that the halving year, each halving year, on average, we have gone up a certain amount, but that amount's been halved. So if you're wondering, well, what does that mean? The amount's been halved. I don't get it. Our first halving year, from the start of the year, the halving year is also the election year. So from the start of 2012 to the end, the price of Bitcoin went up 250%. The second halving year, it went up 130%, again, from around January 1st to the end of the year. Election year, halving year, same thing. Last time, it went up 65%. It was in this range. It was 65% until we had quantitative easing and printing. Then it was like over 300%. However, that range was at 65%, which was exactly half, which was about half the time before. So I thought, hey, if that's going to happen again, then what's half of 65? Let's just say 33. And funny enough, that puts us up at this fib, the 236. Here's why else I think this is important. And this is kind of reflected on this chart here. Now, these charts, I've seen them become updated. And so take the data that it shows, if you will, with a grain of salt, because after the last halving and top, I have seen the data correct a little bit, at least as far as what they're showing, the direction of the rainbow, where they expect logarithmic regression. So log scale, for those of you who don't know what that means, here on TradingView, log goes by factors of 10. So 1, 10, 100,000. When you put things on log scale, sometimes you can see certain patterns in how there's diminishing returns, which there has been in Bitcoin. So just a little spiel there. It'd be like, for example, if we took a very macro look at the S&P 500, this is on log and this is without log. So as you can see on log, we have this sort of nice steady uptrend. And I like to view a lot of things on log scale. Never mind the lines. That was just peak. Those are coinciding with rate pauses and rate cuts, inflation peak, things like that. However, the main point here, when you take it off a log scale, you can see how much different it looks. And there is benefits to looking at it that way, but I'm just trying to make a point here. Bitcoin on the rainbow chart, this is a logarithmic regression. For example, if you were tracking the data around the amount of COVID infections and deaths when that data was out, I don't know about if any of you guys checked that data. I would. That COVID data, as far as the deaths and the infections, pretty much wrote a logarithmic regression. And by the time it flattened out, even though it's still going up, that said, hey, it's pretty much near the end. It's not going to spike up anymore. So Bitcoin kind of honors that. And something that I've noted before is that these zones here, Bitcoin goes up a price at each halving zone. So the first halving in late 2012, November, we were in this basically a fire sale zone. Again, this is on log scale. It would look different if this wasn't on log. Second halving, we went up a zone, the buy zone. Third halving, we went up a zone, accumulate. I have wondered, and it looks like we're probably going to be in that zone. The halving, by the way, the line shows it on the 4th. I believe the halving is going to take place on the 22nd. I'm not sure if that's going to change. But if you look there, that's between 52.5 and 69. Let's just use some bigger, rounder numbers. 52.5 and 69. So where does that put us? And remember this halving year, we go up this amount. Where would 52.5? 52.5 would be up near the top of this zone of having regressions, or how should I put this? Having I'm saying the word having without an L and then having in the same sentence with an L. So I need a new word here. It would put us up near the peak of that range of the years that the halving takes place. So 52.5 to 69. Well, we're 69. That's the top. So that's interesting. One other thing I wanted to look at is if I draw a fib from the previous low to high for each 4-year cycle and look at where the halving takes place, and right now it's on monthly. Let's go to weekly. When I click the 5-year, you can see the weekly up here. Here's something else I noticed. When I go from the previous high and low, and it might not be exact, I was wondering, as far as the fib scale, this is these rainbow lines. I know some people don't like the rainbow colors. I apologize. I was wondering, where is the peak before the halving? After we have the top, the bottom. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this Fibonacci scale here. What a mess. Let's fix that so it actually looks nice. And here you can see we almost got up to that green line. That would be the 0.5. And then it got above, I believe, what is that, the 618? Yep, got above the 618, close to the 0.5, came back down a whole range and a half, and then went back up. And then pretty much after it settled at the 618 and shot through the next zone above its peak, off we went to new highs. Okay? So just remember, where was the peak before? So here, we had the bottom here. Okay, I didn't screw up that fib. After that bottom, where was the peak beforehand? So this peak was pretty close. Again, the white line's to halving. We got above the 0.5, and we were near, I believe that's the 382. Yes, we were near the 382. But we didn't quite hit it. So we got above the 0.5. Remember, last time we were close to the 0.5. Here we got above it. Not quite to the 382. Went back down. Again, what happened here? Yet again, we rode the next fib line up, the 0.5, instead of the 618. We kind of grinded there, but once we got above that 382, off to the top. All the way up here. What happened last time? This was peak 2017 to the bottom here in 2018, 2019, around there. We wicked above the 382. So here's the 0.5. We wicked above the 382. That was that mid-cycle top. We consolidated down here for a little bit. This was the halving right here. But again, I want you to pay attention to where the highest price was after we bottom, how it's moving up in the fib zones each time. You remember where it was? It was here around, let's just say the middle of the 0.5. Let's just go back so we can make sure we're speaking accurately. So middle high 0.5, okay? Next time, where was the peak? Remember, it was really close to the halving. Middle high above the 0.5 to the 382. Where was the price at the highest before the halving? Even though the halving was a while off, it moved from middle high range above the 0.5 to the lower middle above the 382. Okay? I've wondered if this would be the buy range. Maybe the buy range is moving up to here between the 618 and the 382. That would be here to here. Maybe the range, oh my God. Went to some random page there. Okay, maybe our range is moving up here. Last time it was here. Okay, last time that was our range to dollar cost average in. Here, really, gosh, here in 2016, we just kind of grinded straight up. And so really you could have DCA'd on the way in, but man, if you were really into Bitcoin, That would be a hard one to read. You just have to dollar cost average in. But here, where was the nice range? The nice range was here. The 786 to 618, obviously down here, always good, but we never truly know where the bottom is. 786, 618, you can see, you can say 618.5, good range to buy. Last time, you could say 618 to 382. But again, down here was obviously great. Here, not the worst time to buy. And we settled in there until we blasted off. And now, funny enough, so I was wondering, is this a mid-cycle top? Because we wicked to the 382. I've shown that on this channel. However, I did show some contradictions to that. And I said, hey, there's two bullish scenarios, and one is how we move up a buy zone each halving. Again, past data does not necessarily show us future predictions, but I do want to show both sides. And I also said each halving, by the end, we move up half the amount. And that would also be bullish, even if we're expecting a correction and nice buy zones over here. That's where I put my golden buy zones. Guys, we may never come down to this again. Does that mean I won't be buying? Heck no. There are still altcoins that are at very good deals and have very strong charts from when we were in here, even though we're up here. So do your research on your altcoins. I'll make separate videos on altcoins. However, guys, we wicked to just a little bit above the 382. We got to like 49,004, something like that, when we had the ETF approval. Now we've gone above that. So the most we've ever done in prior having years, or at least, let me rephrase that. The most we've done as far as a peak from the bottom before the halving for the previous 3 times. Okay, I'm talking about this peak here, and from the bottom. I forget which peak it was. I guess it would be this one right here. The most we've gone up on the fib is about right here, kind of where we peaked to today. However, you do see a general trend up. And with kind of, when you take into consideration how we are getting diminishing returns, and please, I want to be cautious here how I word this, because when I say diminishing returns, that sounds bearish, and I don't want it to, because we get diminished returns does not mean you can make a ton of money off crypto should it keep honoring this rainbow chart. All because we get diminished returns. Like if you get some Bitcoin, let's just say Bitcoin at 50,000, I don't think anyone's really going to give a crap if they end up selling it at 140 and you make a little bit over 2.5 times profit. So yes, the level of multiples of returns you can get is getting less after each cycle, after each halving. So here, let's see, that peak, let's say you bought that peak there and you got it at about, where was that price? Let's say $10. Obviously, no one's going to care if they're selling it there at 800, okay, and making an 80x. Or if you bought it at the peak over here, somewhere around, let's just say $600, no one's really going to care if you're selling it then for around 11,000. Maybe that's like a 60x or something, okay? Also, if you're buying Bitcoin here, where was it? It's in that yellow zone. Let's just say 10,000. Okay, then you made a 7x or a 6x when it was at in between 60 to 69,000. So as you can see, each time the returns are less. That is what I mean by diminished returns. However, that does not mean you can't make a lot of money, especially on the altcoins. The altcoins, you can even make more money. If you are able to find good, solid altcoins and get the bottoms, guys, those things can run. Let's take a look at some altcoins from the past, like Cardano. for example, I want a chart that shows where it was even before. Does this show it before? No. Where is like the longest Cardano chart? That's what I want to see. Because I remember in 2017 buying it and getting some great profits. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't show. Maybe we have to stick with the Binance one. Apologies. So Cardano, maybe that was the beginning. And I'm just thinking of the last cycle. Either way, the top was early 2018. I could have sworn Cardano was there before. Maybe there's a different one I'm thinking of. Would Monero be one of them? Here's a better example. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of Stellar Lumens. I know that one was out beforehand because I did have some Stellar Lumens. We'll have to go by market cap. Okay, cool. So sorry about that. I could have sworn Cardano had data out before. So as you can see here with Stellar Lumens, maybe you got it at, here's the market cap. Sorry, it's not showing the price because we chose the market cap one. But from 13 million or 15 million to 15 billion. All right. So that's what, a 1,000x, 150, 1.5. Yeah, that's 1,000x if you got it down here. Okay. And then this looks like this would have been the top here. Yeah, May of 21. So let's say you get it in here. 1 billion to 16 billion. Okay, a 16x. So you went from 1,000x to a 16x. Here's another one. And I'm not telling you guys to buy these because a lot of times altcoins, all because they did well before does not mean they're going to do well in the future. I know that is not the oldest chart there is for Tron. Okay, here's what I will say, because I did buy Tron in 2017 and I got it at like 0.002. I got it at 1/5 of a cent. So it was a 0.002. And I remember in 2018, it got up to like 27 cents, which was crazy. So that one went gangbusters. Okay, what would 27 cents, let me do this on my calculator quick, divided by 0.002, that was 135 multiple. Yeah, I got in on Tron early. It was on Binance. I'm not sure why it's only showing there. Let's say you got Tron again at around, let's just say 2 cents. Okay, and then it peaked at 17. All right, so you made it an 9x. So those types of gains are amazing. And guys, even if depending on how much money you make, like obviously if you only have, let's say, hundreds of dollars, getting a higher multiple is great. But let's say you're investing a lot of money. People investing $1 million, if they get a 20% return, think about that. 1 million times 20%, that's, gosh, my brain's not mathing right now because I just got done with work. 200,000. I'm an idiot. Yeah, obviously. I apologize. I could tell I was having one of those moments where if someone was in the room watching me think, they'd be like, dude, this answer is so easy. What's wrong with you? I apologize. Done with work. My brain's a little fried. So, depending on the level of money you have, maybe you are only shooting for a percentage or a smaller multiple and you're playing it safer. Or if you have a smaller amount of money, you want to get something like a 2 or 5 or 10x. If you get anything 10x or above, good job. Something to know, though, as you guys can see with these altcoins, they can die off really quickly. So if you do get a big multiple like a 20x, guys, this is just me, not financial advice. I'm taking the profits, leaving, never looking back. That's me, though, not financial advice. I've just typically, when an altcoin does run, whether it's 20, 50, 100x, anything crazy like that, get out. I don't know where the level would be. A large part of that has to do with market cap. Higher market cap might get you less multiples. Lower market cap has potential for higher multiples, but make sure you have an exit plan so you're not left holding a bag, because when these things sell off, they sell off hard. So, what have we talked about today to wrap this up in a nice bow? We talked about how I admit I was wondering if this was a mid cycle top. And when we look at fear and greed, it's like, well, we got down to here, but I never said that the trend was reversed. Said technically we're still in this uptrend and we still are. Something else I noted as we got into ETF approval or before it, I noted, I'm like, look how high greed got in crypto. Got up to 95. I was expecting something like 85. And guys, our greed now, it's at 80, 79. That's as high as it's been since November of 21. You want to know where Bitcoin was in November of 21? I know where it is right away. It's this red line. That was the top. Let me repeat that. Greed has not been this high in crypto since the very top, the last top of Bitcoin, the ultimate top. We have not gotten above this price, whatever that is up there, like 69,700 something, 200. I don't know. Our greed here is at the same level here. So remember, greed isn't a one-to-one correlation with price. So I did wonder if this is a mid-cycle top. Maybe we had a year up, 6 months down, like we had 6 months up here, a year down. I have those buy zones. Guys, these buy zones for me is like can't miss. I need to be putting in money no matter what. That's for me. Please take your own financial decisions. And by the way, for me, this isn't for Bitcoin. This is for altcoins that I like. And I don't want to share too much of that because I don't want to influence any of you to buy certain altcoins because I like them personally. You can ask me my opinion, but that decision is ultimately yours. I can look at the technicals, be like, hey, I like the technicals. I can share positive and constructive feedback on those technicals and the coin. Guys, as far as crypto goes, compared to stocks are products that we can invest based off stuff we like, stuff we use, the technicals, the balance sheet. Crypto, there's so much more unknown because it really isn't the product we use outside of exchanging money from impatient people to patient people, or educated gambling based off some levels of technical analysis. That's why there's so much more technical analysis videos on crypto on YouTube than there is with stocks, because people do look for patterns. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rorschach test. That's where you see the paper with the big blobs. Let me go over here where there's room. So I do work in the field of psychology. And when there's a paper with a big blob and a pattern, usually it's an even amount or an even pattern. Let me delete that. Let me do an even pattern. I started to do an even pattern, but then I saw it started to look like some male reproductive organ. So that's when I started to change it up. I apologize. So let's say, here's the point of the Rorschach test. Someone shows you a blob, they ask, what do you see? And people come up with these answers from this abstract object. But here's the truth behind it, is that all it is just a blob. When you look at a cloud in the sky, it's just a cloud. However, as humans, we can take meaning out of things that we see because we look for patterns. Our brains naturally discriminate. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that's part of our brains being able to differentiate or tell the difference between things, safe and unsafe, trying to make sense of our world. That's why us as humans, we can pass on ideas. We're thinking about our world. We're trying to make sense of it. And sometimes that works against us, especially in stocks and crypto and investing. And so many people fall into this trap. They see a pattern and they're like, well, what if it repeats the same pattern? And crypto, Bitcoin, it has these 4 data points, soon to be 5, 4 cycles, 4 cycles and soon to be 4 halvings. And all because something's happened before does not mean it has to happen again. And as we start to notice patterns and our brain starts to try to pull meaning out of those patterns, guys, that's when you have to be cautious with yourself and not not bet the farm all because you feel this pattern repeating every time something different has happened. Now you can leverage deep value to your benefit by increasing your time in the market, checking some of those buy signals on the macro charts, looking at the relative strength index, all that. Let's get rid of that horrible. By the way, there's no answer to this as far as what is that. Can I delete this or what? I'm trying to click on it. My God, there is no answer. Like, what is that thing? It's nothing. Okay, it's nothing. I like literally can't click it. I'm going to be stuck with this stupid thing forever. Here we go. Oh, there we go. It's like watching your grandma try to figure out a computer. My God. So part of my goal here is to show you, is to get you to think, basically. I'm not here to give you an answer, but it's to get you to think. Based off previous patterns, I've thought, hey, last time when it's been down here, those are can't miss buy zones. Does not mean we have to get it up there again. I've shown you that is the bearish look. However, there's been a couple bullish outlooks. One is this rainbow chart each time, and this is kind of reflected in that fib, how the highest price before the halving, where it is on the fibs, moves up each time. That's sort of the same on this rainbow chart, how it moves up a zone each time. But again, maybe the rainbow will be adjusted a little bit as we move forward. Maybe it's going to be down here. Maybe it's going to go up here. I don't know. Each halving year, each halving and election year, the returns has been about half. Until last time, it was at half, and then it shot up with quantitative easing. So I don't know if the halving year is going to finish only 33% up, or maybe this pattern I saw is going to be broken forever and it really was never a pattern to begin with. It was just a coincidence I noticed. But remember, as far as what that zone chart showed us with the rainbow chart, that zone would be between here and here. So I do find it curious that the zone it would be in, we could wick up a little bit more like we have before each halving. But again, this is where we finish. This is where we would finish the year up here. But let's try to combine all our theories. What if? Let's just say what if. Okay, guys, this is probably not going to happen, but what if? What if we do finish up here? Okay, at the end of 2024, right here. Okay? We finish up in this zone, like somewhere up there. But what we do first is we go up into our zone by the halving, where it showed on the rainbow chart, where our wicks are still ascending. Maybe we get close to that 236, and then we come down into the buy zone and then do something like this. I don't know. I'm going to leave that there because what if? You know what I mean? What if something like that happens? Maybe. Inversely, we might just keep creating higher lows, higher highs, and shooting up until the whole market decides it's done and wants to correct for a long, long time. Okay? I don't know. But that's what I'm trying to show you guys here is that's one way that we could have all our theories come true, where we could get back into those lower fibs, where we could honor those fibs getting higher each time before the halving. Each time before the halving, where we are on the fibs is a little higher. We could finish in that average range that is getting halved each halving year. We could have all those things come true. And this might be what it looks like. But again, none of that has to happen. So, Bitcoin, look here, that looks bullish to me. Looks like this flag's getting ready to blast off higher. Sometimes those flags can bust down too. I don't know. I don't really care because as far as how I invest, I'm looking for long-term possibilities. And check your altcoins. That's been your homework on this channel. Try to research, find 3 to 5 altcoins you like, and then read the charts and see where can you find value. So you don't feel like you're chasing the hype as much. Okay? Guys, I don't know if Bitcoin's going to keep going up another 400% from here, or if a correction is going to happen. Maybe we go up to the halving and then correct. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am trying to show you some things I've noticed. And me personally, I like when prices aren't at a yearly high. I like when I get a buy signal, when we're oversold, when there's fear. Buy signal on the weekly or the monthly. Let's go to the monthly. Let's add an indicator. Because the last time I was buying some of the largest altcoins, guys, it was back here, like with Chainlink. I like Chainlink a lot. We had accumulation and we had these zones down here. On the monthly, we had buy signals. I wasn't missing that. And so, right here, gosh, I feel for people who are like, hey, I want to get in Chainlink. I'm not saying that you couldn't make a 10x from here. Maybe you could. If crypto keeps repeating the patterns, yeah, ultimately, maybe you could within the next 2 years and then sell and leave. I don't know. However, I spent that time in the market. We were oversold. We were under 50 on a large macro scale. We were in fear. I had buy signals and accumulation. And so those were 4 things moving in my benefit. As we keep moving up, things become harder to read and it becomes more of a coin flip. So do your own research. Gosh, I think it's the longest video I've ever had. I apologize. There's a lot to talk about though. And I want to show all sides, all possibilities, and let you make up your own mind. And here at Market Psychology, again, when I say be cautious when there's greed, you should be cautious. Not saying you can't buy in, but you should be cautious. Again, last time we had these greed levels, we were at the very top. Last time we had these greed levels in the mid-cycle, we got up to 95. So maybe we get up to at least 85. We also have noted that every cycle, our top before the halving moves up a little bit in the fib range. So take from that what you will. Maybe we'll get a correction after the halving. Maybe we won't. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Sorry it's a longer one. If you are a veteran to some of these videos, you're probably watching my videos on 1.5 times speed on YouTube or 2 times. I would not blame you. So hope you enjoyed. Hope you all are doing well, that you're making money, that the weather's getting better wherever you're viewing from. And if there's any altcoins or indicators, stocks you'd like for me to look at, concepts you want me to consider, please comment below. I'd be happy to look at it. Something I do want to address, someone brought up, and if you are watching, I appreciate you bringing this up. When I did the mining video, Bitcoin miners talking about how some have legal troubles. That's great to know. Guys, I can't do all the research on all the different stock projects that I talk about. So do your own research. And if there is things that are going wrong with the project that you note, please feel free to comment below. That's good for the community to know. Things to be aware of and to help us all be smarter investors. So I do appreciate whoever shared that. I want us to share the good news and the bad news so we can make the most informed decisions. Try to simplify investing for everyone to make it a more stress-free, enjoyable thing to do with the extra money you have and money that you can afford to forget about for a little bit while it makes profits without you stressing over it. Bitcoin moves a lot faster. It can become a more stressful asset because of that. Those peaks every 4 years and the dips every 4 years. So keep that in mind. Anyways, wrap it up there. 40 minutes. Thank you guys if you made it this far. And take care. Have a good one.